leaving. Tears on your pillow. Baby, it's no mystery. I'll give you my heart, my soul, my time, my love is a fountain. Sunshine. I'm not sure that, but why don't you stay until tomorrow? You made me open up and see that it's for real and there's no other place I'd rather be. I know I love you, you better be me. Sometimes I'm not sure you love me or not. 'Cause girl, I love you more than words can show. It's you and me forever. I got lost with you in time. I have been on every type of aeroplane that's touched the sky, but I promise as soon as we finish, I'll pray that you will be always there for me forevermore. The one thing that I want is that you care for me. I'll give you more, you got to know it, baby. 'Cause there's something missing in every place that I go.
Kevon Edmonds had the talent, the voice, and even the superstar brother. So why did he disappear into the shadows? Imagine being Babyface's own flesh and blood, the golden ticket right in your hands, yet somehow your career never takes off. Was Kevon secretly sabotaged by his own family? Did the industry erase Babyface's talented brother on purpose? Behind After Seven's smooth hits and polished image, there's a messy story of betrayal, hidden jealousy, and money disputes. Today, we're exposing why Kevon Edmonds became the brother everyone forgot. And trust me, the truth is uglier than you think. Kevon Edmonds was born with music practically embedded in his DNA. His brother, Kenneth Babyface Edmonds, wasn't just famous. He was one of the biggest R&B superstars and producers the music industry has ever seen. So you'd think Kevon would have been set for life, right? Think again. In the late 80s and early 90s, Kevon fronted the silky smooth R&B group After Seven, alongside his brother Melvin Edmonds and friend Keith Mitchell. They weren't just good, they were great. Hits like Ready or Not and Can't Stop had everyone humming along. But despite the gold and platinum plaques, the group, and Kevon especially, always felt overshadowed. It seemed like no matter how many hits they dropped, Kevon was always just Babyface's brother. Kevon tried breaking out as a solo artist, and honestly, he had everything it took. The voice, the charm, even the family connections. So why wasn't he bigger? Rumors swirled around the industry that Babyface's shadow was simply too large, that maybe, just maybe, it wasn't an accident that Kevon Edmonds remained the forgotten brother. But was he just unlucky, overshadowed by Babyface's fame? Or was someone secretly holding him back? Here's where it gets juicy, because being overshadowed is one thing, but being sabotaged is something else entirely. Let's be real. Babyface wasn't just famous. He was the face of R&B, a Grammy magnate, and a certified hitmaker. But did Babyface's legendary success unintentionally, or intentionally, doom Kevon from day one? See, Kevon Edmonds wasn't lacking talent. The guy could sing circles around half the industry. Yet, strangely, every time he stepped into the spotlight, something conveniently pulled him right back out. Solo projects delayed, promotions suspiciously weak, and promises from labels mysteriously broken. Was this really just bad luck? Here's the kicker. Insiders whisper that Kevon's attempts to go solo were consistently downplayed or outright ignored by none other than LaFace Records, Babyface's own label co-founded with L.A. Reid. You'd think having your superstar brother run a record label would be a golden ticket, but for Kevon, it looked more like a golden cage. Rumor has it, whenever Kevon got close to real solo stardom, something or someone got in the way. Could Babyface have subconsciously or consciously feared another Edmonds brother stealing his thunder? Did industry politics sideline Kevon intentionally? Or was this a twisted form of family protection, keeping Kevon just close enough to taste success, but never fully letting him have it? And if sabotage wasn't the reason, why did Kevon never publicly call it out? Was loyalty stronger than ambition? Or was there something darker happening behind closed doors? All right, buckle up. This is where things get messy. You'd think having your brother co-own one of the most powerful record labels in the game would make your career skyrocket, right? But for Kevon Edmonds, LaFace Records felt more like quicksand than a springboard. Here's the tea. While LaFace Records, run by Babyface and L.A. Reid, was busy minting stars like Toni Braxton, TLC, and Usher, Kevon and After 7 were somehow always left behind. Despite delivering hit after hit, rumors started swirling that the label saw After 7 as more of an obligation than a priority, and Kevon, with dreams of going solo, quickly found himself facing roadblocks that looked suspiciously placed. Industry insiders hinted at major projects for Kevon mysteriously falling through at the last minute. Albums that were recorded, budgets that were approved, suddenly vanished without explanation. Producers and songwriters close to Kevon have even implied off-record that higher-ups at LaFace Records deliberately shelved Kevon's solo material, fearing he'd overshadow Babyface's carefully maintained image. And let's not forget those shady promotion deals. After 7's albums often felt like they were marketed just enough to keep fans happy, but never enough to launch Kevon into real stardom. The question is why? Was Kevon Edmonds considered a risk or even a threat to Babyface's personal brand? It's easy to write this off as bad management or industry politics, but when your own brother's involved, it starts looking less like bad luck and more like betrayal. Kevon Edmonds wasn't just another singer on the label. He was family. And as we all know, family drama is always deeper, messier, and way more complicated. All right, now let's talk family, because nothing sells like family drama. And the Edmonds family had plenty to go around. Kevon wasn't just navigating a tricky industry, he was dealing with jealousy, rivalry, and tensions boiling under the surface at home. Rumors swirled behind closed doors that Kevon often felt like the odd man out, constantly compared to Babyface's overwhelming fame. Think about it. Imagine every Thanksgiving, every Christmas dinner, watching your brother effortlessly dominate an industry you can barely crack, despite your own incredible talent. That kind of pressure doesn't just vanish, it festers. And speaking of tensions, After 7 wasn't exactly a paradise either. Insiders say sibling rivalry within the group, particularly between Kevon and his late brother Melvin, was an open secret. Melvin's struggles with health and personal issues reportedly put even more strain on Kevon, who found himself stuck between family loyalty and professional ambition. Some whisper Kevon felt trapped, staying in After 7 out of obligation, even when his heart was pulling him towards solo dreams. Then there's the juicy gossip about Babyface's favoritism. Industry whispers claimed Babyface had a clear favorite, and spoiler alert, it wasn't Kevon. Producers and songwriters close to the Edmonds family hinted at awkward studio sessions, canceled collaborations, and a nagging feeling that Kevon was always the backup plan, never the priority. Jealousy, rivalry, and quiet resentment created a perfect storm of family dysfunction that the public rarely saw. Kevon Edmonds didn't just face challenges from the outside. The real obstacle might have been the family standing right next to him on stage. Now here's the part nobody wants to talk about. But everybody should. The money. Because for someone with Kevon Edmonds' resume, gold records, chart-topping singles, decades in the game, his net worth should be solid, right? Wrong. Kevon's estimated net worth hovers around $1 million, while Babyface is sitting on a $200 million empire. So, where did the money go? Let's break it down. After 7 had hits. Big ones. Can't Stop was everywhere in the early 90s, and their debut album went platinum. But fans have long suspected that Kevon wasn't seeing his fair share. Between shady contracts, low royalty payouts, and sketchy label politics, it seems like the math just doesn't add up. There were whispers that After 7 signed early deals that heavily favored the label, and surprise, surprise, those deals were connected to LaFace and other Babyface-affiliated networks. Could it be that Kevon unknowingly signed contracts that benefited the people closest to him while shortchanging himself? And it didn't stop there. When Kevon tried to relaunch his solo career with 24/7 in 1999, fans expected a massive rollout. But what did he get? Minimal promotion, limited touring, and barely any radio support. It was a hit single with no machine behind it. Many believed this was Kevon's shot to finally shine, and instead, it turned into another missed opportunity. The real tragedy here isn't just the money, it's how many times Kevon was this close to leveling up, only to be pulled back down. Was it bad business advice? Was he too trusting? Or was someone behind the scenes making sure Kevon never stepped out of his brother's shadow? Whatever the case, one thing's for sure. Kevon Edmonds deserved a lot more than he got. This is where the story takes a heartbreaking turn, because while fans were speculating about Kevon's career, something far more personal was breaking him from the inside. The decline and eventual death of his brother Melvin Edmonds. Melvin wasn't just Kevon's bandmate in After 7. He was his literal brother, his musical partner, his day one. But behind the scenes, Melvin struggled for years with health issues, substance problems, and emotional battles that the public rarely saw. In 2019, Melvin passed away at just 65 years old, and it devastated Kevon. The group had already been through ups and downs, including Melvin stepping away from After 7 in the mid-2000s due to health concerns. Kevon held things together, kept performing, kept smiling. But insiders say the emotional weight of watching his brother deteriorate, not just physically but creatively, was crushing. Some close to the family even claim Kevon blamed the industry for wearing Melvin down, chewing him up and spitting him out, the way it often does with black R&B talent. And here's what makes it even more painful. Melvin never got the flowers he deserved, and neither did Kevon. It's like the Edmonds brothers outside of Babyface were always treated as expendable, disposable even. After Melvin's death, Kevon kept going, but something changed. His performances were quieter, more withdrawn. It was clear that part of his heart was missing, and maybe, just maybe, that was the final straw. The moment Kevon knew the spotlight was never going to feel the same again. It wasn't just a musical loss. It was a personal tragedy that exposed how much Kevon had sacrificed, how much pain he'd carried, and how little recognition he got for holding everything together. On the surface, After 7 always gave smooth grown man R&B energy, matching suits, polished vocals, no drama. But if you looked a little closer, you'd realize that behind those harmonies was a whole lot of silent tension that never made the headline. Let's start with the obvious. After 7 was a family affair, and we all know family business can get messy. Kevon and Melvin were blood, but their third member, Keith Mitchell, was more like extended family, Melvin's ex-wife's cousin. Now that's already an awkward dynamic. Throw in Babyface pulling the strings behind the scenes and you've got a powder keg dressed up in matching blazers. Sources close to the group have whispered for years that Kevon wanted out, not because he didn't love the music, but because the politics were exhausting. While the group was marketed as a trio, Kevon was the real frontman, the voice people remembered, the one doing the emotional heavy lifting. But instead of stepping into a solo spotlight, he kept getting reeled back into the group. And let's talk control. There were quiet rumblings that certain group members, and even management, weren't happy about Kevon's attempts to break away. Allegedly, there were passive-aggressive moves made to block Kevon's solo shine, including delays in new music, lack of tour support, and internal tension about who was really in charge. When After 7 reunited in the 2010s with Melvin's son Jason stepping in, fans thought it was a beautiful full-circle moment. But behind the scenes, some said the chemistry was off and Kevon seemed emotionally checked out. Others claim he stayed for legacy's sake, not because he wanted to, but because he didn't want to let his brother's name fade away. Bottom line, After 7 was never as smooth as it looked, and for Kevon, staying in the group meant swallowing his pride, suppressing his dreams, and playing the long game in a band that didn't always play fair. So where does that leave Kevon Edmonds today? Quiet, reserved, and still criminally underrated, while his brother Babyface is out here collecting Lifetime Achievement Awards and headline tours. Kevon is performing in the shadows, small venues, niche festivals, and rare interviews that barely make a blip on the mainstream radar. After 7 is technically still active, now with new members and a rotating lineup, but let's be honest, it's not the same. The soul is missing. Kevon has popped up here and there, dropping subtle gems like his Who Knew solo album in the 2000s. But without major backing, they barely made waves. And yet, the fans that do remember him, they don't just remember a singer, they remember a voice. Smooth, emotional, timeless. The kind of voice that should have been a household name. But Kevon Edmonds, for all his talent, all his quiet pain, and all his unrealized potential, has become a cautionary tale in the music industry. What happens when talent alone isn't enough? When politics, family dynamics, and missed opportunities conspire to keep you in the background. His estimated net worth, around $1 million, doesn't reflect the impact he made. It reflects the system he was caught in, a system that rewards hype over heart and branding over brotherhood. Kevon Edmonds will always be remembered by real R&B lovers, but unless the industry finally decides to give him his flowers, he'll go down in history as the brother everyone forgot. Even though he was unforgettable, Kevon Edmonds didn't just deserve more. He earned it. The talent was undeniable. The voice, legendary. But in an industry built on image, power, and control, sometimes being the most gifted one in the room isn't enough, especially when your own blood is standing in your spotlight. Kevon wasn't forgotten because he lacked star power. He was forgotten because the industry chose to forget him. But the real ones, we remember, and it's time the world did too.